Still, National Football Show. Appreciate you guys coming aboard. Look at Bob talking shit on Purdy when his boy played like shit. Crazy. Again, that wasn't the story. The story was the Eagle defense. They were wonderful. Really. I mean, I really never thought Tom Thayer was accurate when he said that this Eagle defense may be one of the better units that he has seen, even comparing to the 85 Bears. But he's right. Hassan Reddick has been an absolute unbelievable force. Unbelievable force. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been special. Bradbury has outplayed Darius Slay. As a collective year, he's outplayed Slay. He's the better corner, and Slay's the Pro Bowler. Slay's not as good as Bradbury. Consistently like that. TJ had one of his better games, but then again, there was no passing that he had to worry about, so he could play his game, run stopping. White did a nice job, but there was no passing game in that game. And as I said on May 10th of last year, the Eagles would make it to the Super Bowl because of their roster. Deepest team in the league. Proved out to be true. And personally, the Eagles against Kansas City, I don't see the advantage outside of quarterback and head coach. That's it. I don't see any other. Chris Jones, probably, yeah. Chris Jones is a better tackle than anything the Eagles have, but they have situation. Orlando Brown is not better than Jordan Mailata. I wouldn't even throw his name into Lane Johnson's conversation. Okay? Orlando Brown, if you put Hassan Reddick on Orlando, I'd put Hassan Reddick on Orlando Brown. I don't think he can block him. Again, by the numbers here. Eagles were shut down offensively, 5 of 15. I told you that had to be a big number, but after the quarterback went out, the numbers didn't matter any longer. They'd wear him out by the end of the game, which they ended up doing. 239 yards of total offense. Again, the 30-yard, sure, 269 officially. Really 239 how I looked at it with that call the refs gave them. Refs weren't very good on both games. Okay? I don't think they were very good in both games. Eagles had 148 yards rushing. That was going to be a matter of time, especially in the second half. Passing yards, a completely atrocious passing game for both teams, 83 to 121. Atrocious. Turnovers played a factor. Short field for the Eagles, run the ball, and Kelsey and Seumalo and Landon Dickerson were outstanding. Here were the outstanding players in that game. Reddick, CJ, Bradbury, CJ, Bradbury, Reddick. I thought Fletcher played well. Hardgrave played well. Kelsey was great. Lane was great. Dickerson and Seumalo. Dickerson, Kelsey, Seumalo. Those three guys in the middle had their best game as a unit, those three guys in the middle. I thought they destroyed the 49er tackles. I thought, the receivers were a non-factor. The tight end was a non-factor, but didn't really have to be. They were one-dimensional in that victory against the 49ers. Wasn't balanced. And I do think the quarterback's injured. Okay? Jalen Hurts doesn't suck. But his performance has the last two. Well, not so much the Giants. I won't say the Giants won. He was good in that one. They were meaningful, 154 passing yards, but he was terrible in the game. And I think he's hurt. He's averaging 138 yards passing in the playoffs going into the Super Bowl, averaging around 40 yards rushing. Not exceptional for a dual threat. That's not exceptional. That's below average. And I say it's got something to do with his injuries. He's been below average. Collectively, 2 games been below average. You can fancy it up any way you want. Okay? Yeah, they won, of course. On May 10th of a year ago, I said the roster would put this team in Glendale, and it did. Okay? So, You get Kansas City on the other end here. Time of possession, they owned it. A ton of 3-and-outs. When you don't have a quarterback and you're a headless football team, you're not going to have a lot of plays. They only had 45, the 49ers. And again, by the way, that's not an excuse. The physicality of the Eagle defense predicated and forced the fact that they took Purdy out. That's a merit badge. That's not a diss. They took him out. Okay? The Niners played really great on defense. I mean, Philadelphia sportscasters would try to tell you that the Eagles dominated the 49er defense. Where? Passing game? Where? They had 93 yards passing. Purdy suffered a torn UCL. It's reported he's out for 6 months. Man, I love that kid. And he went out there and he still played, causing more damage. Dude, every single guy in that 49er team now has to look at Brock Purdy and go, holy shit. He went back in the game after Johnson went out, and he did his best with a torn UCL. Kudos to you, kid. Kudos to you, man. That's good stuff. Wow. That's inspiring. Eagles had 70 plays to get 239 total yards. That's productive? Where? Okay. Hurts was 15 of 25, 60%. 121, no touchdowns, no interceptions. 11 carries for 42 yards, mostly in the second half. Kind of a factor. Not really great, though. And, of course, dual threat now is playing a factor. You guys keep throwing dual threat. You're right. He's not dual threat. Where's the dual threat? Passing game is non-existent. What dual threat? Does he have a touchdown pass in the playoffs yet? Is it one? I mean, does he have a touchdown pass? Does he enter the Super Bowl with no touchdown passes? Or did he get 2 in the Giant game? Hey, Tone, can you check that? I think he has 2 in the Giant. I think he got 2 in the Giant game, if I'm not mistaken. I think he got 2 in the Giant game. Okay. That's inspiring. I think Jalen is inspiring the way he's playing. I think what Hurts is doing, playing hurt like this, personally, and again, I have no insight. I think he's got a torn rotator. And I think they're keeping that under wraps. I think he's got a torn rotator cuff. Dual threat, not sustainable. Reddick has 1.5 sacks in the Giant game and 2 in the 49er game. He's got 3.5. Man, he's been a force. I couldn't have been more wrong about that. How about this? That was a Howie Roseman win. Okay, nobody was exceptional except the defense. Reddick was. Okay, Reddick was. Reddick has been the MVP for the Eagles in the postseason. If you had a Conn Smythe Award, Hassan Reddick would win it. Your playoff MVP. Freaking man. Wow. Talk about getting around the horn. Personally, I thought Nick Bosa did a great job in the first half. Eagles couldn't get wide on them. They stymied them and stuffed them. I mean, if it wasn't for stupidity of Kyle Shanahan, they could have went into half down only 14-7 with a backup quarterback. How they let him throw the ball with 1:44 left, and Eagles had 2 timeouts in the middle of the field you didn't even give your team a chance to recoup at halftime. You could have ran the clock out there. Didn't seem right. Yeah, you think he's getting better? I think he's getting worse. That was a terrible performance, Yale, in the NFC title game for Jalen Hurts. It was his worst game he's played. all year. That was his worst game. I know everyone in Philly wants to tell you he didn't. 93 yards passing and 42 yards rushing. It's not a great game. The defense and the O-line, once again, was a great factor in why they won. Hey, Sills, that team was not beating the Eagles. No, but I like to have seen Purdy healthy because the 49ers did a great job stuffing that offense. And if they don't have the 3 turnovers, you're not scoring 31 points. 3 turnovers and a ton of 3-and-outs. When Christian McCaffrey's throwing the ball, you're not winning. Against Philly? No. Carton sent this to me. And they were hanging around because they're talented. Okay? And this is something Carton and I were kind of talking about over the weekend. Here's the easiest pass in the history to the Super Bowl. And I mentioned this in the first hour. I want to bring it up again. Seahawks 2005, they played against Mark Brunell in Washington and then Jake Delhomme. Patriots 2017, Marcus Mariota, Tennessee, Blake Bortles, and the Jacksonville Jags in that year. That's the year the Jags upset the Steelers in the divisional round. 2011 Patriots. Look at the Patriots on this list twice. Easiest road to the Super Bowl. Hey, all legacies are made no matter who you're playing against. Because get this, unless I bring this up, nobody remembers who Brady beat. Look at who Brady beat. And listen, you can't rip Jalen in the Eagles and not turn around and rip the Patriots. You understand what I'm saying here? Look who Brady played, right, Tone? Watch this. So Brady's 2 Super Bowls were against Marcus Mariota and Blake Bortles in 2017. And then in 2011, they played Tim Tebow and Joe Flacco. I mean, nobody remembers that shit. They just remember you won 2 Super Bowls. And the 2022 Eagles have played against Daniel Jones, Josh Johnson, one-armed Brock Purdy, and Christian McCaffrey. That ain't their fault. And in a couple of years, no one will remember that. They'll just remember you won 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years if you're able to close this out. Nobody will remember that. Okay? Nobody will remember that. Tom Brady wrote his defense. Beginning of his career, he did. Okay? 2 weeks I'll be Hurts finished the Bears game hurt, and all you could say is that he played terrible yesterday. He played terrible. I don't care how, hey, dude, I don't care if I see a guy play bad. Look at what, you know what? Here's something that I don't get. When I admit that I'm wrong about Reddick and saying that he's playing sensational, but then when I say that Hurts is not playing great in the postseason, you can take it for what it's worth. 121 yards passing, 39 yards rushing, and a rushing TD, no turnovers versus, hey, can you put that back up, Tone, CA? Versus the number 1 defense. So that's that. I guess that doesn't count. It's not elite. No, it was non-factor. 93 yards passing. Dude, they shut down that offense. So you think 121 yards passing and 39 yards rushing is elite and carried the offense to the win? And by the way, he had no passing touchdowns. And he was 60%. That's right, in a 72 quarterback rating. Dude, he didn't have to be special, and he wasn't. Okay? He did not score 31 points. The O-line did. He did not do any of that. He had 1 touchdown run. That's it. Once Philly got up 2 scores, actually, Yale, I said when Purdy went out, I said that bad puppy's over. That bad puppy's over. They got no chance. Everything had to play right for San Francisco. They played as hard as they could, as long as they could. And for them to hold the Eagles to 239 yards of total offense, I thought they put a Herculean effort up. I disagree with anybody in Philadelphia who says that they were dominated. 239 yards of total offense is not dominating. It's not dominating. I don't care where you want to make that into some sort of lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. 239 yards is dominating a team? Really? You had 93 yards passing. Dominating? I don't see it. I don't see it. Eagles defense dominated. They did. They did. And by the way, if you notice, I haven't, right, Tone? I have not said and made an excuse for the Niners and their offense 1 second for Purdy getting hurt and having to play those. I haven't. The Eagles dictated that with aggressiveness and Reddick. Reddick wrecked the game. He's been the star of Philadelphia for 2 games. He's been unblockable. Even on his sacks, okay, he has been unblockable. That's how I look at it too. They knocked him out. Okay, the ticket. What am I wrong about? What did you see in the NFC title game that all your polluted sports hosts and biased Philadelphia sports media people saw that I didn't see? What did you see dominating? Where? The offense teams, turnovers led to it. Short fields. Where? What? They didn't rush for 200 yards. Shit, they didn't even throw the ball for 150 yards. Where's the domination? You were 5 of 15 on third down. You're 4th in the league. They stuffed you. Where? Where did they dominate you? Dude, if I get 3 turnovers midfield, or I get it inside the 30, and I only have to go 15 or 20 yards to score, that's not dominating. That's the other team giving it to you. Or your defense dictating that. That's your defense. That's my comment today. Your defense, they dictated the pressure of the game, not your offense. Your offense, late in the game, they dictated it because they started taking control of the tired 49er guys. That's on them. But that's not how that game played. I saw a completely different game than you. Completely different. Completely different. The Niners secondary held you to 93 yards passing. Dominated. You dominated them. Hey, you dominate. You got, hey, you're right. You dominated the 49ers secondary. All things considered, yesterday shows why complementary football is paramount in the NFL. Yes, Tone. Offense has a bad day. Tone, that is so my point today. Offense has a bad day. Defense steps up, vice versa. Fans have to live it, even if their quarterback is on the receiving end of criticism. Absolute Tone. That was a team win. Completely a team win. Completely. The defense pressured that game. The defense of the Eagles was the offense of that game for Philly. Took the quarterback out. Took the second quarterback out. Let's take a look at the spectacular plays. in the game. Reddick, sack, takes Purdy out. They knock out the quarterback. I think it was Sue that knocked out Johnson. They couldn't get anything going. McCaffrey made a spectacular run. He's a spectacular player. That kid's got Hall of Fame talent wrapped around him. Okay? They dictated the quarterback play. Offense had nothing. They started taking control around, I would say, second half, about 8 minutes and 40 seconds. The middle of that line started taking control. I thought Armstead would play better. Man, Kelsey and Seumalo and Dickerson, they blocked their ass off in the second half. They won that game. They were one-dimensional. The Eagles were a one-dimensional football team. But to Tone's point, the balance of the football team is what I've been saying since May 10th of last year was going to be the reason you make it to Glendale. And my prediction comes true. The Eagles are in the Super Bowl. I was the first person in talking about the Eagles nationally, locally, what have you, that said that this roster was going to get to Glendale. If you want, you can go back to JAKIB because I posted it on Dan Sileo show too, my Twitter page. Right there, May 10th, 2022. I said this roster is going to get to Glendale. Wasn't your quarterback. He was carried to the Super Bowl. And the reason, I think he's hurt. Okay? I think he's hurt. It's commendable that he's out there playing the way he is. Okay? Boy, I was really shocked that Armstead got blown up like that. He was getting knocked off the football. Okay? So Eagles goes like this. You show me someone else, Eagles, that said that before May 10th. I actually have it documented. Show me before May 10th. So after the draft, you show me one Philadelphia media person that said they were going to the Super Bowl. Show me one. If we win the Super Bowl the way the Seahawks beat Denver and fine with that, yeah. Bro, you can't, like I said, just because you had the least amount of resistance to get to the Super Bowl, that's not your fault. You've taken care of business. I agree, Walter. Walter, I think he's about 70%. You can't be overthrowing passes and look like that. Prior to what you were doing in the season, he was getting better every week throwing the ball. Every week he was getting better. Every week he was getting better. Every week he was getting better throwing the ball. Now he's regressed. And I think it's only because he's hurt, not because he's a lesser player. Okay? Not because he's a lesser player, but I think it's because, once again, I think he's injured. 100% he was a non-factor. Tone, some people see it. Let's see here. Barrett said it before May 10th. Show me. I know I was the first on JAKIB to say it. I got it documented. May 10th. All you got to do is Google it. May 10th, 2022. You show me somebody before that. And you could post it over on my Twitter page if it's before May 10th. Yeah. Okay. Well, prove it to me. Prove it. What tape said he was a factor? Jalen Hurts was terrible in that game. Now, 5573. Hit, that's his smarts. Yeah, dual threats hurt. Now we're spontaneous. All right, let me go over here. How do you guys feel about playing against Andy Reid? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about playing against Andy Reid? Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Charles goes like this. Sills, did the Eagles do anything right? Oh, you must be late because I said this. They were spectacular on defense. I think their coaching staff was absolutely patient. I think their offensive line and their lines took over in the second half of the game, and it was a total team win. By the way, I'd like to see more out of special teams. Jesus criminy. You know that guy? What's his name? What's the guy that has the punt returns for the Eagles? What's his name? What's that guy's name? You know what it's like watching him do? It's like watching a guy with a fungo bat hit high poppers to him. Covey, do something for them. Give them a little bit better field position. The Eagles have everything except that. Dude, stop catching those fair catches. Make a freaking play. Okay? Dan said would never win us. Well, that's yet to be seen, Eagle. I picked you to get there. Dude, that guy, I mean, I suggested it earlier in the year. Put Devonta Smith's ass back there. Do something. Get a playmaker back there. Put Zach Pascal back there. Get somebody else. Watching a guy have fair catches the entire game. How many times did the Eagles also have to start on the 8-yard line? Almost cost you a safety. Jesus criminy. Dude, the rule has always been if you're on the 5-yard line or you're on the 10 less, you let the ball hit and go in the end zone. You don't catch it on the 8. What idiot catches it on the 8-yard line? The chances of that ball going in the end zone is 90%. How many times do you think that guy caught the ball inside the 10? 3? Almost, like I said, it almost cost you a safety. The rule is always special teams. Dude, if you're standing there on the 10, the ball is looking like it could land inside the 10-yard line, you take the chance at rolling in the end zone. What's the difference between the 3-yard line and the 4-yard line? Dude, that guy was terrible. They need to eradicate that. Get something going in there, man. That's bad. Dude, I get he made but how many times do you think he put his offense in a shitty position catching that ball inside the 10-yard line? 4? The Eagles started in bad field position, and the only way they got the ball in good field position was the turnovers. Wasn't anything he did. Special teams was terrible. Dude, they were terrible. Fair catch, 8-yard line, 7-yard line. Let the freaking thing bounce in the end zone. Take your chances there. Dude, man. Okay? There's so many good players. Watch this. Why don't you put Boston Scott back there? Why don't you put Gainwell? Make Gainwell into Brian Mitchell or a Darren Sproles. Turn one of them dudes into a Darren Sproles. I think Kenneth Gainwell may have a chance of being someone like a Darren Sproles. He's not big like that, but he can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He looks like he's got versatility. Dude, make that guy into that. Turn him into Brian Mitchell. I agree, Mercy. He's not. I mean, look, I'm talking like that player. I'm not saying turn into Darren Sproles. I mean, okay, I'm not saying he's Darren Sproles. I'm saying like that. You know what I mean? Do you think they're testing Gainwell for next year? I think they are. That's a great. Hey, Marky, I think that's a great observation. I've been impressed with him as late. Oh, absolutely. He's been an offensive factor. I think he might be moving shifty and elusive than Miles. You know who he kind of reminds me of a little bit? McCaffrey. The way he moves. Could he be a Christian McCaffrey? Not saying he is, but catch the ball. Because he made some passes. He's caught passes too. I see him. I'm starting to like him more. I'm starting to like him more. This kid Gainwell. And plus he runs tough. You know? Yeah. Yale. You can finally see what they saw with him at Memphis. I talked to the FSU head coach about him. He thinks he could be like a Brian Mitchell. They just need to give him reps. He thinks he could be that guy. You know, Norvell says that if you give this guy more reps, he could be somebody that, but this guy, Covey, or dude, Jesus, criminy, catching the football inside the 10-yard line when coverage is not there yet. Let the ball hit the ground. Let it go in the end zone. How about this? If one of them is on say one of them pops up, lands on the 3, okay. I'll tell you, the other 4, I'll take the chances that it goes in the end zone. So 3 of the 4 would have started you at the 20 instead of the 10 or the 8 or the 4. You're playing averages here. That guy's a wasted roster spot for sure, man. Dude, any one of you in here with any kind of athleticism could do what he did. Let me just catch the ball. Seriously, it was like watching a guy hit a fungo bat and you taking high poppers when you were in Little League. I mean, they must have had no return yardage. Terrible. Will that be a factor in the Super Bowl? I don't think so.